Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy evening to let us present to you some of our highlights from this past school year and then kind of what to expect moving forward. I'm going to toss it over to Dr. Euchre so that she can go ahead and give our welcome, and then I will go ahead and share my screen with the presentation.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. To have a school like STEM, it requires so many all pulling in the same direction, being that person that adds to the ultimate goal of what we have, which is to allow our students to excel. And so tonight we're going to pull back the curtain a little for each of the stakeholders invited and participating this evening to explain some of the things that they do. One thing I compare it to is running a household, and most of you run your household and you know the unbelievable amount of tasks that are involved in running a household. I mean, it's never ending. To run a school like STEM with 1,800 students, almost 200 faculty and staff, 2,800 families, a community of 5,000, it is an unbelievable amount of work that gets distributed among so many, including our families. And so tonight we're just going to take a look at that, and we're going to have, well, I certainly have great gratitude for all the work that goes into making our school so amazing. And I was reflecting a year ago, December 2019, doesn't that feel like a completely different world? In 2019, most people did not know what virtual learning meant. But STEM, living on the edge of never stop innovating, we had comfort. I mean, we weren't totally expert, but even our very youngest students knew what virtual day was. And we knew how to log on, we knew how to access what we needed to do. Our teachers had comfort, our families had comfort. We knew the issues, K1, K1-2 had specific issues, teenagers had other issues, the extra work for our faculty, we had experience. And so when the whole world moved to virtual last spring break, we had this. And when you live at that edge of never stop innovating, you're always one step into the future. And I am just so grateful for all the people that contribute, who you will hear from tonight, that help us live in that space. It's our families, our students, our faculty, our staff. We have an absolutely amazing admin team that work. I can't even quantify how much work that is. And our all volunteer STEM board. Again, they work so many hours on your behalf, and I'm just profoundly grateful to each of them. So tonight, when you hear from each of our stakeholders, just imagine how much work each of them are doing on the behalf of the success of our students. So next up, we have our board chair, Mr. Rudy Lucas. Thank you so much, Rudy.
Thank you. And thank you again so much, Penny. And let me see if I get my echo off here for a minute here. And let's try that. Okay, I think that's better now. But anyway, oops. Sorry, apologize. I got a little bit of an echo here at the moment. Okay, we'll try this way so we don't, but I'll just be short anyway. But I just want to echo again what Penny is saying, is that we're just having remarkable support from the entire staff and everybody else that has been working so hard for the school over the last few years. And especially through the situation we're going through right now with COVID, remote learning, and everything else that's been thrown at us as a challenge. But we always overcome these challenges and move forward. So the great news, though, is when we look at some things that are from the board perspective, we do have our strategic plan now formally adopted, and we have committees working on their very respective goals. And we are going to have a town hall specific to this on January 14th as we go into the new year. There's also been a lot of interest from individuals and others about becoming board members as well, and we're starting that process to go through interested parties so we can bring our board back to full strength. And then I'd be remiss a bit if I didn't, of course, remind folks that we also finished another real estate acquisition back in October, and it's giving us the space and room to work as we move forward as well too, and work on as a key part of our strategic plan. So with that, I'll go ahead and move it forward to back to Dr. Euchre. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that update. And I will hand it over to Nicole. Thank you, Nicole.
You're welcome. So hopefully you can all hear me and I hit the correct button to unmute myself. So I will just go quickly over some of our school-wide updates and highlights. In August, we started the school under our return to school plan, where we offered our 2 academic plans. We instituted a progressive rollout kind of in the middle of the semester, right before fall break, where we were bringing our students back to 4-day in-person learning. That spanned about 5 weeks in our elementary before we were able to get kindergarten all the way through 5th grade to 4 days of in-person learning. And we learned a lot during that process and about how to keep everybody safe. And we really felt we did a great job with that. Our secondary has remained in cohorting with 2 days a week in-person learning per cohort or per group, so to say, with everybody being virtual on a Friday. That we have found has been very successful in our secondary in allowing for our students to still come in for in-person learning and not having to having to do kind of multiple rolling quarantines, because we've been able to keep people safe. Our students, they've moved to virtual learning starting on Monday, November 30th for the remainder of this fall semester. And we're currently working on plans to return to school in January to start the spring semester. We hope to have more information about that next week to share with our families and our staff. And I guess one of the big wins that we have right now is that our students and our staff have been fully embracing online learning this last week and going into this week. I know we've heard a lot of great feedback from our families about how virtual learning is going. So I wanted to give a little bit of a COVID update. We've had 7 cases in the fall at STEM, and these are cases that have been reported to us where there was a positive case where we did have to quarantine members of our staff. And there you can see we had 2 in elementary, 2 in middle school, and 3 in high school. We had no outbreaks at STEM, and there's a little bit of a definition there as to what those outbreaks are and what it classifies as. And then a highlight, we received CARES Act funding, and so we have been utilizing that throughout this fall semester to bolster all of our health and safety resources, as well as our educational resources, with us having to offer virtual learning and making that transition from in-person to virtual learning easier. So there's a lot of technology that we've purchased, licenses to educational resources. Zoom was a big one. And so that CARES Act has really come in handy. And we have some big plans for the next few weeks as we close out the opportunity of CARES Act funding for the month of December. So we are operating under our transition plan. We announced this back in September with the departure of Dr. Wayman and Ms. Reese. The plan is our way of identifying gaps and redistributing some of the roles and responsibilities amongst our leadership team, as well as amongst the support staff, finding everybody's strengths, identifying weaknesses, and finding ways for us to be able to move forward in the current climate that we're in. In October, we provided an update to that where We more aligned the roles of our assistant school directors and promoted them to interim directors of their schools, empowering them to lead all of their staff and their students. In that, we announced some of the gaps that we had identified, and those were some of the positions that we had identified as adding to the staff. And then in November, we provided an additional update following the departure of Miss Stephanie Mandrala from our leadership team, and with next steps of how we're looking to address the redistribution of her roles, or if we would hire for that position. So I encourage you to take a look at that transition plan and familiarize yourself with that. We are operating under that for the time being. That also, we, under that transition plan, made the announcements of some of our new hires, for instance, our dean, our career discovery advisor, new communications manager, and so on. So I encourage you to take a look at that. I will toss this over to Ms. Kowaleski so she can do the elementary update.
I was muted. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining. My name is Ms. Kowaleski. I am the interim elementary school director. I was going to just share with you some of the highlights so far this year, and then some of our goals as we move through into second semester. So this last fall, STEM elementary school was chosen as 1 out of 60 in Douglas County school districts for top elementary schools. So that's a pretty exciting achievement for our students and our staff and families. Another big highlight of first semester is how well our teachers, our aides, our staff, our students, our families have worked together to navigate through the new teaching and learning models. So we're constantly looking and innovating and trying to figure out what works best for everyone. Some of the ongoing goals that we have for this year that we established last year and really wanted to pay strong attention to is establishing those strong relationships, especially in a time when we're in a pandemic and we need to rely on one another. So we want to have those parent partnerships through frequent, respectful, clear communications. So communications going home, and then when needs are needing to be met from home back to the teachers and the school, and following that communication pathway. Another goal that the teachers have worked really hard through this pandemic with to stay the course is working on building a common language around the K-5 guided reading practices. So you should often be hearing about students reading passages on a regular basis, conducting running records to meet the students at their individual reading levels. And STEM wouldn't be STEM if we didn't have that continuous focus on PBLs with students, regardless of those learning plans. So our teachers have worked really hard to create engineering kits to be picked up for our online learners. We've had some students join our in-person students on occasion. They've come to school just to participate in some of those PBLs that our students are doing at school. And then also our classrooms have this past year dedicated time each day for classroom meetings. So really putting some purpose and some time behind classroom meetings to build social emotional learning and making those connections with our in-person and remote learners at the same time to have that positive environment and the personal connections to continue through the year. So those are just a few things that we're working on. And just as I said, that relationship piece is very important to me. So anytime, feel free to reach out. We're here to support.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kowaleski. So now I'd like to welcome Ms. Anna Magley-Haberek so she can do the middle school update. Don't forget to unmute yourself.
Excellent. I think I'm good on that. So I'm Anna Magley-Haberek. All the students call me Mrs. MH, and I'm really excited. Thank you all for being here tonight. This is great. And so I'm here to give the middle school update. I'm the interim middle school director. And our middle school, like our elementary school, was ranked #1 out of 23 public middle schools, which was a huge achievement for us. Another achievement that is actually almost a year old now, but we do have a dedicated administrator, which is myself at the middle school level. And that was really important in terms of really creating that staff and student culture at the middle school level. So this position started last February as an assistant director, and then I moved into the interim director role but having a dedicated administrator specifically for middle school staff, students, and parents has been really helpful to helping our middle school. Our middle school has been on a hybrid model with the students attending 2 days a week, and it has been amazing to see the innovation that our teachers and our students have come up with together in terms of having group work where one student in cohort A is paired up with a student in cohort B, so they're consistently working together just in different spaces. We have seen things like our engineering teacher has done projects where the students use rubber bands to pick up cups. So they're still staying 6 feet apart, but still using that hands-on collaborative learning and really working together and learning different, the engineering design process while maintaining all those COVID restrictions. It has been just amazing to see how our students and teachers work together. We have had some really creative work, and you're going to hear from our student government in a little while, but they have created things like a virtual movie night. We have done costume contests virtually and lots of other really creative, exciting things that are happening at the middle school level. So we have really enjoyed this fall, and we're looking forward to seeing how we can continue this innovation and collaboration, and especially working on that advisory program and our social emotional learning for our students through sources of strength as we move through the end of the semester and into next semester.
Thank you so much, Mrs. MH. Now I'm going to toss it over to Mr. Dan Hoffman. Don't forget to unmute yourself.
Hey, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. All right, so not to sound like a broken record, but we're very excited. At our level as well, the high school is ranked 1 out of 3 charter high schools in Douglas County by niche. So another high ranking for us. And with that, you know, how do we get to that kind of large success? And the way that forward towards that success is really through our problem-based learning model and our commitment to social emotional growth. And you can see on this slide on the right side, I have the social discipline window, and really what that represents is on the y-axis, we have super high expectations for our students, rigorous curriculum driving our students to academic success. We have very high expectations for that, but we also want to match those expectations with as much support and help as those students need to be successful. And you'll see that green box. When we have high support and high expectations, we're doing things with students. And we really want a high school in which students take a lot of ownership for their learning, ownership for the school. And so when we have that high social emotional support, that rigorous social emotional support matching our rigorous academic curriculum, what you get is really strong PBL. What you get is really strong problem-based learning. What you also get is a lot of great student leadership and growth in student leadership. And we've been seeing that. I think you'll hear from some student government representatives later on. And they've really taken on a role to help me and advise us on how to improve high school programming. And I'm excited to keep that growing. We've really revamped and improved our advisory program to lean in with that social emotional support this year, dedicating more specific time for it to help students out. And again, all of that leads towards a student-centered curriculum, a PBL curriculum that's going to hold students to the kind of high expectations that we expect and that we see out of STEM. And I think Dr. Johnson will talk a little bit more too about some of the outcomes coming out of the high school that are really exciting because of that. And you get extraordinary things. Like, we have to congratulate Miss Rao for becoming the Time Kid of the Year. Is an incredible, you know, I'm so honored and humbled to just work at a school that has helped a young person achieve that level of success. And the magical thing about STEM and the magical thing about our high school is that we really do believe in the infinite potential of every young person. And we believe that every student, every high school student at STEM has the potential to achieve that kind of greatness and that kind of success. They have it within them. And we want to make sure that we're supporting them and helping them to meet those expectations along the way. And so that's really what we've been working on in the high school. And we're excited to keep moving with that.
All right, thank you so much. I'm going to toss it back over to Dr. Euchre so that she can talk a little bit about our financials. Dr. Euchre.
Thank you. And those were great updates from our 3 levels. I just get chills thinking about all the opportunities we provide our students. Thank you all for that. So this is our audited year, and you can see the majority of our funding goes to salaries. And if you've seen my numerous newsletters, we're one of the lowest funded schools in the country, and Colorado is a low funded state, and suburban is the lowest funded. And of course, charter schools, we pay 5% back to the district, which is those purchase services that you see there, plus some other purchase services such as our internet. And so salaries also include across the board all of our people, and benefits are a very large chunk. One, we have a very good benefit package for our faculty and staff, but also by state statute, we have to give 20% to para, the retirement system, and that's non-negotiable state statute. And each of our faculty and staff have to contribute a little over 10% of their salary. So it's an enormous chunk that goes into the retirement system. So next slide, please. And this is a comparison across all the charter schools in Douglas County. And one thing I didn't mention in my opening that I meant to was our STEM is in the top 1% of all schools by any metric, academic, financial, leadership as far as stability and governance. And so when you compare our school across other schools in Douglas County, we're 100% green for all the years going back to 2013. And that is a standard of care that goes into everything we do. STEM maintains that high level of stewardship for the resources that we're given to maximize that standard of care. And it reflects in these metrics. So our independent audit that happens each year is published on our website under financial transparency, where you see everything that we need to put on our financial transparency. And this is the highest level. And every year, Star, as I always introduce her when she does her yearly update in February, she is a CPA. She has background as an auditor with Arthur Andersen, for those of you who remember that company. And she's worked in multiple companies that had multinational like IntraWest. So STEM as a school is so fortunate to have someone of that skill level to maintain our financials. Our financials are pristine, and that allowed us to go to Wall Street to purchase our elementary last November. And so when we acquired that bond, it saved us the projection, which we can send out if anyone's interested, will save us about $35 million over the life of that bond, instead of having an escalating purchase of our elementary school. And with that funding, Star had the comfort that we could offer our staff and faculty a 5% raise. And I would stake that this is the only school that was able to offer a 5% raise across the board to all faculty and staff in this year. And that is due to Star's outstanding ability to manage our finances. I think that's the last slide.
Thank you so much. I am going to toss this over to Dr. Johnson so she can talk about our teacher growth and support update.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm Karen Johnson, the Director of Curriculum and Accountability, and just wanted to give you a little update on one of our strategic plan goals is a teacher care model. And we continually focus on teacher growth and support throughout the year and for all of our teachers. So our big goal is to find and maintain the best teachers that we're able to do. So there are some things that we just want to highlight. Being a teacher at STEM is different than many public schools. For example, teachers have a lot of autonomy. And by that, we mean that we follow the academic standards when it comes to what we're teaching, but teachers have a lot of flexibility on how they do that and the materials and the resources that they use. And that's a great opportunity for teachers to really excel and take risks in how they're presenting material to students and assessing as well. We do offer competitive salaries and align with Douglas County. We have a lot of teacher voice and choice, continually asking for feedback from teachers and getting their input in what we're doing. And we provide a lot of leadership opportunities for teachers. I think some of our staff, and just looking at our admin team, started as teachers in our building. And we've provided leadership opportunities for them across the board to continue learning and growing, which is really at the heart of what teaching is embodying itself. And we provide some various staff support. You'll see in the middle of this slide, things like every teacher has a coach. We have social workers, psychologists, counselors, learning support specialists, and educational assistants, among many others that provide additional support for all of our staff. Currently, we have 8 instructional coaches that represent teachers from kindergarten through 12th grade, working at those various levels. And they meet regularly with teachers. They give them feedback, help them define their goals for the year, and move them forward in becoming that best teacher that they can be. We also have 11 mentors. Mentors are primarily teachers and staff members that are mentoring a new teacher, maybe someone who's going through induction, which is a state requirement in your first 2 years of teaching. You need to participate in an induction program, learning the ins and outs of teachers, teaching, and education, and specifically what we do at STEM. So we have induction, and we have an alternative licensure program. So what that means is some of our staff members, particularly if they come from industry or outside of the field of education and want to enter the educational field, they can apply with the Colorado Department of Education for an alternative license. They are required by CDE, the Department of Education, to have certain requirements as far as degrees and background experience and so on, depending on the content area that they're teaching. And then we pair them up with a mentor and a program as well, so that they're getting the support they need as they transition from the workforce, for instance, into our educational system.
Right, thank you so much, Dr. Johnson. We are now going to toss it over to Ms. Jenny Johnson. She's our Interim Director of Student and Staff Support, so she can talk a little bit about staff feedback team.
Thanks, Nicole. I'm glad to be here tonight. Thank you, everybody. I just want to take a few minutes to highlight one of what I would probably call one of our most valuable assets to our shared leadership vision, which is our staff feedback team. So this team has developed over the last few years, starting first as just a teacher feedback team, and now they've transitioned to trying to encompass the support and collect feedback from all of our stakeholders, staff, and teachers. And under their direction of Miss Katie Hoffman, she's just a fearless leader that is continuing to help kind of drive this idea of helping us to never stop innovating, collect feedback, and make updates as much as we can. So a few highlights on the slide there about the responses. We have seen an increase in comparison to the last couple of years, so continuing to collect that feedback, and then the team meets monthly or often weekly, helps sort through that feedback and then shares it with us as the admin team so we can brainstorm together on improvements. So many of the things that we've discussed this year were feedback and suggestions around all of the different types of learning models that we're faced with this year, continuous improvement to staff communications, as well as just overall stress management and things, especially in this difficult time when we're asking a lot of our teachers in terms of workload and continued meeting the needs of all of their students. So there is a quarterly survey that they give where we're collecting kind of longitudinal data. So we look at that, and then almost every month they ask what's going well, what could be done to improve your morale, and that just helps us to have kind of that monthly view of our staff. Some other things based on the feedback so far that we'll be working on this year is trying to improve upon our ability to offer targeted collaboration time within the staff versus having K-12 staff meetings with so many people that maybe isn't as valuable as giving them the time to collaborate with each other. Our focuses for this year that we're working on continually with the staff feedback team and staff are around social emotional learning, problem-based learning, and data-informed instruction. So we continue to work on that. In continuing the communication improvements, along with helping staff understand the organizational changes that are happening with our transition plan. And obviously the continued attention to health and safety protocols, all the changing guidelines, trying to help keep staff updated with those is a kind of feels like an endless job sometimes. They're just continually changing. So we're doing our best to do that, as well as continued attention on the mental health needs of staff, students, and family. And, you know, they're really helping us to highlight strategies that are working for both hybrid, remote, and in-person learning, and continuing to make that a focus for our year.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to toss it to myself to talk about communications. So far, this year we redesigned our website. That took place over the summer. So hopefully everybody's had some time to navigate through that. We did this in an effort to save costs and to also bring a lot of the flexibility and utilization of our website in-house so that we can make more updates and provide more content than we were before. We increased our newsletters over the last year from 1 to 3, with the newest being a student newsletter. We increased our engagement on social media, and most recently, I moved into a director of communications role to support the overall school messaging as it pertains to strategic plan goals, just overall STEM communications, and working with our school directors. We've added our communications manager, who will be taking on a good portion of content creation and engagement. So we're very excited about that. And hopefully you've had the opportunity to see some of the content that we've been pushing out over the last week. I'm going to toss this now over to Mrs. MH so she can chat about athletics.
Great. Thank you so much, Nicole. I'm also going to ask Mr. Hoffman to unmute himself in case I miss anything. Mr. Hoffman and I are co-athletic directors, and we have seen amazing things in our athletics over the last year. So last spring, we formed 2 new teams at STEM, track and field and girls soccer, and they had an amazing and very short season before all the sports were canceled, but we had a lot of excitement and engagement with those new teams. Our boys basketball team last winter competed in the All-City Urban League. This fall, we had a few of our sports get postponed to spring, but several sports were able to run. Specifically, we had 35 athletes in cross country and 28 in golf. Our other fall sports were canceled, but they are set for spring right now with a few different seasons. There's currently an A season starting at the end of January for basketball, and then a B season after that, and then a C season, which will round out our track and field as well as girls soccer and lacrosse. All of our cross-country meets that we were originally registered for were canceled, but STEM, mostly Mr. Hoffman, along with our cross-country coaches, organized and ran 4 dual meets against other schools. So our cross-country athletes were able to compete, which was really exciting for them. We are continuing to work on our CHASA application, and we are set to have it completed in January, which is when CHASA will do a site visit to determine if we are eligible for moving forward with probationary status. Mr. Hoffman, would you add anything that I missed?
I think that was great. I think, you know, we've had really dedicated parents in the past 2 years since I've been here, and some really dedicated athletes. And we're just excited to hopefully get back on the court and back on the field at some point this year and let people play. We just found out on Monday that CHASA has pushed back all of their seasons again another few weeks. So basketball hopefully getting started in late January, early February, and then everything else to follow that. So we are hoping that we get to play. And I know our students really want to play, and it was great to be able to get some students together for cross country and golf, and I know it was very meaningful for them. So we'll do everything we can to make sure that we're able to have the seasons we can have.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to hand this back over to Dr. Johnson so she can cover our highlights by the numbers.
Great, nice to be back. So yes, we have heard so many highlights that are happening at across the board at K through 12, and you know, we've been using this type of splashboard to identify and highlight some of those big numbers that we see. And I'm not going to read each one, but you know, some of the highlights are, you know, we have one campus, 3 schools, elementary, middle, and high school, with approximately 1,761 students this year. When you take a look at some of our academic data, you'll find that we have an achievement rating with the Department of Education from 2019 of a 95.8% and an overall performance rating of 87%. Those are very high numbers compared to other schools across the state. We currently are at number 10 of the SAT scores across the state compared to other high schools. And these 2019 CDE rankings are based on our Cmas scores and our SATs and PSATs from 2019. Unfortunately, CDE paused all of our testing through the Colorado Measures of Academic Success of what we typically do in the spring because of COVID. We are looking at implementing and administering those assessments this spring. But in the meantime, we are working off of 2019 data for our Unified Improvement Plan and some of this data. Now, we did recently have updated SAT scores, but they're not public yet, but our students continue to score very well, and they'll be compiled and public in probably a short few weeks. Some other things we'd like to highlight, concurrent enrollment is very popular here at STEM. We have over 1,000 credits for students as well. So these next few screens are really, oh, sorry, Nicole, thanks. So can we look at the data slide? Sorry, can you go back to that for a second?
Yes.
Because I just want to highlight a few things too of our graduating seniors from last year. We had just the slide right before, there we go. We had 110 seniors last year, and 98% applied and are accepted to colleges. And we're very proud of that. Our students are highly prepared for success in career and college readiness to be successful throughout. So there were 108 college and university acceptances, for instance. And the other great highlight is that industry certificates are earned at the high school level as well. And last year, our students earned 116 different industry certificates, which is amazing. And those are mostly in engineering and computer science. Our course offerings are increasing, and we just provide a lot of opportunity for students to fulfill academic needs that they're interested in and pursue different careers and things of interest. The other big number that we're very proud of that we don't talk enough about is our diversity. We are currently 41.5% of ethnic diversity of our students. And that's a great celebration. And we have a newly formed diversity, inclusion, and team. And they're working on providing some feedback and learning more about how we can really meet the needs of all of our students. Okay, next slide. Thanks, Nicole. These Cmas scores are from 2019, but again, you would see that, thanks, Nicole, can you change the screen? Thanks. You could see that consistently we meet or exceed or higher than the state in all of our areas, reading, math, science, and social studies. We compared to the state, compared to the district, compared to STEM. We continually meet and exceed. These are our latest from the spring of 2019 SAT and PSAT scores too. So again, STEM's in the blue, and we continually exceed and surpass global, state, and district levels. The next slide. And finally, we do have some input for advanced placement scores. The students did take the AP exam last spring, and it was changed from a traditional assessment to an essay assessment. And our students really did well on that essay under these COVID conditions. So they did a nice job. We had 223 students in AP. They took 404 total exams, and 169 of them scored a 3 or greater. And that's about almost 76% of our students are scoring at that 3 or better for college credit. So then you can take a look at that bottom graph that shows the different average test scores for all the assessments that we're giving. But we did highlight all of those scores where the average test score is 3 or above. So congratulations academically to our students and our staff as we continue to be the best school that we can be, provide those opportunities for kids. On this next slide, these are the AP and the concurrent enrollment classes that we offer. Approximately 17 AP courses, and I think we're up to about 20 concurrent enrollment courses as well. So again, that advancement, and these are the courses just that we offer on site for our students. They always have the option to take concurrent enrollment elsewhere.
Thank you so much, Dr. Johnson. Sorry about that, a little bit with the presentation.
Okay, it was looking a little.
So I'd like to now toss it over to Miss Liz Dugan so she can talk about our special programs.
Hi, everyone. I just want to start off by thanking you all for being here tonight. I'm Liz Dugan. I'm the Director of Special Programs here at STEM. I oversee all of our learning plans from IEPs and 504s to ALPs and every acronym in between. I also support our mental health team with meeting the social emotional needs of our students, K-12. And finally, I support our counselors with scheduling, tracking graduation requirements, ensuring we offer a robust concurrent enrollment program, and offer real world experience to our students through many different opportunities that are unique to our amazing school. So as you can see here, our student support team is made up of 24 professionals from 9 different fields. So we have several psychologists, social workers, and counselors who work tirelessly to support the social emotional needs of our students school-wide. We also still have Evan Forrester, a full-time all-health clinician who provides therapy sessions for our students free of charge. And on the next slide, you can see that we have a plethora of support through our learning support specialists, speech language pathologists, occupational therapists, English language development teacher. STEM also employs 3 learning support services, EAs to assist with students who are on learning plans as well. And our learning support services team is phenomenal at meeting the needs of each and every student who attends STEM. And then here you can see kind of a breakdown of the different plans that we offer for students who need a little bit of extra support. So we support students with disabilities via individualized education plans, Section 504 plans. We provide support to low readers via our READ plans. We meet the needs of our English language learners through English language learner plans. And we support struggling students through our robust response to intervention program as well. Furthermore, we support our gifted students by creating and implementing an advanced learning plan to ensure that they are being challenged and continue to make that growth that students need to make each year, even if they have already mastered their current grade level content in any 1 or 2 or 3, sometimes 4 given areas. As you can see here, STEM also ensures that we are meeting the social emotional needs of our students in addition to their academic needs. So our mental health team provides regular check-ins and monitoring as needed, restorative practices and support groups for students who need them. We partner with sources of strength at the secondary level and Resilient Me in elementary to foster positive adult and peer relationships for all of our students. Finally, I'm very excited to share that we have continued to build our college and career supports through having an amazing full-time college and career counselor, as well as a brand new college career discovery advisor. Career Discovery is an amazing program full of opportunities that are innovative and unique. This program is made up of multiple opportunities. The most exciting opportunity at this time, I would argue, is P-TECH. So STEM is one of only 7 schools in the state of Colorado to offer P-TECH, and we are constantly growing and adding to the program. We started off just offering the mechatronics pathway, but have since added cybersecurity this year. We are also working towards adding the health pathway in the near future as well. Additionally, we recently purchased the building next door to STEM to be able to make physical room for these expansions and increase this amazing opportunity to reach even more of our students. So in a nutshell, just for those of you that don't know much about P-TECH, it's another acronym that stands for Pathways in Technology, Early College, High School. It is a program that allows students to earn an associate's degree while earning their high school diploma at the same time, and it's at little or no cost to the student, which is really awesome. Finally, the Career Discovery Program offers mentorships and internship opportunities for students so that they can get real world work experience before even graduating high school. We strongly encourage every single STEM student to take advantage of these amazing opportunities that are unique to our school so that they can stand out on those extremely competitive college applications and get that real world experience before even leaving high school.
All right, thank you so much, Liz. I am now going to hand it over to Miss Susie Mckay. She is the coordinator over at the STEM Center for Strength. Susie, are you with us?
I am.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I just want to thank you all for welcoming me to your program and to tell you what a great opportunity it is to learn even more about all of you and all of the amazing things that you're doing. In the short time I have, I want to make sure and make 3 critical points. First is that all of the services that we offer in behavioral health, including support groups and one-on-one counseling, are virtual. So we've moved into the telehealth age. Secondly, all of our programs are available and free to anybody in the community, teachers, students, staff members, parents, community members, regardless of their location or their employment on May 7th. Our services are widely available for dealing with all mental health needs. They do not necessarily have to be related to May 7th. And so we invite you to participate in all of those, as well as our psychoeducation options and other programming that we have created and sustain throughout the weeks. We also invite you to check and see what we are up to at our STEM Center for Strength Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. We also have a newsletter that we would ask if you get an opportunity to sign up so you can learn all about us. And also, last but not least, we're looking forward to further integrating our support with your social emotional needs at the school and integrating into the many terrific programs that you are already offering. So check us out at www.stemcenterforstrength.org. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susie. I will just continue to go through. I think we had 1 or 2 more slides, but I really, really appreciate you joining us. For the folks that are watching, this is the advisory committee list for STEM Center of Strength. So you can see we have a lot of students and family members that are a part of that advisory board. And then here is some of the programming and education that's available to anybody who heads over to the, or takes part in, or utilizes the resources from STEM Center of Strength. So thank you so much for joining us. We are now going to move over to our student government. Let me go ahead and welcome Miss Maya Thatcher. She's going to be joining us to represent middle school. And then we're also going to have Sean Mock, who's going to join us to promote, to talk about our high school. So Maya, are you there?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, welcome. So here is, go ahead and you can start presenting.
So I am one of the presidents of middle school student government. So this year we obviously can't do it like we normally do because we're online school. So we are doing a lot more Zoom competitions and Zoom calls for events. And we have a lot more online events and things that we can do without needing to be in person, like dances and spirit weeks and that range. So far this year, we've had 3 events. We've had our hand turkey contest, which over on the side of the slide, you can see the winners from that contest and the winners from our costume contest. And we've also had a fall festival, which we don't have any pictures for, but we basically all got on Zoom, went into breakout rooms, and we played a bunch of games. So we have a few more future events coming up. We launched a bunch of them yesterday. So we have a short story contest, a virtual movie night, community lunch event, Candygram, Spirit Week, and a snowman building contest. And most of these are coming up in this week and next, and a few of them are for next semester. So, yes.
Well, thank you so much. And then we're going to hand it over to Sean. Sean, are you there?
Perfect. Yeah. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me on here again. Means a lot. So I tried to separate it into 2 groups of what we currently did for this semester, as well as what is projected in either next semester, long-term, or just in January. So to start off, we wanted to know how our student body was doing. And it does say at the bottom, student body feedback, but we tried to show it through a creative way, as well as mix the National Honor Society together. So we proposed an art show, and practically anyone can try. We have multiple prizes. We were considering only doing 1 prize, but then we chose that we would split it to 9 prizes. And it's basically just an art show that anyone can submit to, reflecting on how virtual learning has impacted them. So this is just so we can know, here's how 2020 affected them, but in like a creative style. And then for volunteer opportunities, because we are trying to get our student government to help out with the school, as well as outside organizations. The 3 that I have listed here have been the most common for 2020, seeing that it's virtual. We had to do a lot more independent volunteer opportunities instead of group volunteer opportunities. So one of the most common ones are the online implicit bias testing, which is proposed from Harvard University. And so as many of you guys might know, this helps Harvard figure out more surveys, and it can connect with political affiliations, mental health, and they have other categories as well. And then under that, while TSA is mainly taking the head for this, we also chose to start Fleece for Fighters this year. So while the Harvard testing, implicit bias testing is a lot higher, or a lot more people are volunteering in that than the Fleece for Fighters, that is our second one. And then we also have Goodwill clothing donations as well. And then underneath the Goodwill, I was considering placing it down, but it's not as significant as the clothing donations, but we also have book donations as well. This year, which this is actually new compared to other years due to COVID, while most honor societies have had tutoring in their own sections, this year with COVID, and it's also on the newsletter, I believe, or in the announcements, bi-weekly. But NHS finally chose to be the tutoring hub for all the honor societies. So instead of us proposing separate tutoring options of maybe you want to tutor in math, maybe you want to tutor in science, instead we chose to make it a lot easier for the public, especially parents and students. And we chose to direct it just towards NHS. And then once NHS receives it, they then track it to whatever honor society it is. So for me, I'm the president of a math honor society. So whenever we have a new student needing math, we immediately get an update from National Honor Society, NHS, and then we integrate it into one of our members there. And then it's a one-on-one virtual lesson. And then as for Wish Week, our Wish Week this year, we haven't announced it publicly yet, but it is Peter. His name is Peter. He has leukemia, and he loves worship songs, loves Star Wars, and then his favorite color is blue. I think specifically the ocean blue. But our planned week for this is March 29th to April 2nd. And for this, last year we did have 5 committees, but NHS as well as student government, when we merged to help out with Wish Week, we noticed that the 5 committees was a little disorganized, disoriented last year, or were disoriented and disorganized last year. So this time we chose to only create it into 4 and then combine one of the 2 because of how often they were mixing with one another. So I believe we have communications, advising, sponsorships, and then fundraising. So I'm in the sponsorships one. So frequently, especially during our meetings, what we do is we're calling probably, I think we have a list of 168 companies. And we're just trying to see what sponsorship packages they're willing to do, any offerings they're willing to do. And then as for advertising, that's mainly within the school. So they'll be advertising that hopefully 2 weeks prior to Wish Week instead of 1 week like last year. And then as for communications, that's mainly our students communicating with the administration. So we're just trying to update you guys constantly this time, because I remember last year we didn't have a lot of problems, but there was a lot of miscommunication right before Wish Week. And I know Miss Bostel she was there for that. So I do apologize for that, Miss Bostel, but this year, hopefully it's a lot better. And then as for the projected side of it, in late January, we were trying for this year, but it didn't work out due to the pandemic. So we are just slowly postponing it. So we're hoping late January, we will be able to provide that drive-in movie, because when it was proposed last time, it seemed like a lot of administration liked it and approved of it. We did not have the proposal made yet due to how the pandemic regulations got a lot stricter. And then for Spirit Week, instead of having separate Spirit Weeks with the drive-in movie, I think kind of like a homecoming scenario or a winter dance scenario, it would be best if we had that Spirit Week leading to the drive-in movie, just to get the motivation from the students and the spirit raised up. And then we don't have a theme yet, but with relation to connecting the Spirit Week with the drive-in movie, we just are making sure that matches this time. And we actually have that spirit and energy that STEM has within itself. And then to go back on STEM Center for Strength, another thing that they proposed is Project Angel Heart. So this is a volunteer or nonprofit organization where you can donate food and you can do multiple projects for it. So what we're specifically trying to do is start creating bags for them. And it's like I don't have a bag in here, but it's like a huge grocery bag that you're able to place food in, place clothing in. And while students are allowed to provide that clothing and food, they're mainly just creating the bags. So we are trying to do a test run with student government right now and get that up and running for volunteer hours. But then hopefully when this is proposed in January and February, we will be able to provide volunteer hours. We're trying for 1 to 2 hours per bag for the students, so then they can earn their hours virtually. And then I think I already went over the additional volunteer opportunities earlier, so we can skip over that. And then Asynchronous Fridays update. I noticed administration is it's a lot more, I don't know how to explain it, but I noticed that it's being raised a lot more, like it's a lot more attention is raised to it. So just this, I would say this fits mainly with student feedback, but we recently did provide a survey, which I noticed was taken over by administration regarding those Asynchronous Fridays, because of how we're trying to match the students' needs and keeping that normal schedule, yet all the other students' needs with maybe having that virtual Friday or Asynchronous Friday. And then as for that Tutoring Hub, I already went over that a little bit, but just to go further into elaboration, while this would mainly apply to AP classes, and MHS at least, we're trying to start hubs where we can get study groups together as well. So it's not just a one-on-one tutoring, but instead someone for me, it would be Math Honor Society, but hopefully it would reach out to National Honor Society. We will be able to basically facilitate and supervise study groups that we organize ourselves. Yeah, sorry that was a whole spree, but that is what the student body as well as just all the students are up to, and developing ideas for STEM to become a better place. So.
Thank you so much, Sean, and thank you so much, Maya, for joining us. This was a great update for our community to see all the amazing work that you guys have been putting into this past semester. So I am now going to hand it over to Robert Hornstra, who, if you're there, Robert, we can go ahead and jump into your section of the presentation.
I'm here.
Awesome. Okay.
So what I wanted to do is to basically state that during the summer, we created a group of volunteers, about 16 staff members who went through about 3 weeks roughly of processing, bagging, and then returning items to students over the summertime. I thought it was a very successful distribution of the materials, giving it back to students. One of the other things that we did is once we understood that school was going to close down, we cleaned, disinfected, and sanitized the school, not once, but twice, from top to bottom. And we're now back at it again as far as going back in and trying to do some more deep cleaning to make sure that we have the school ready for school opening in January. We went through and marked out on the floors roughly about 3,000 linear feet of social distancing, which was arrows, and then also went into the classrooms and took a look at the social distancing in classrooms. And what we discovered is that because of the new distances, we had to also rent a storage container so that we could then store all the furniture that was going to come out of the classrooms. We also went up on the roof and roofs and went through and cleaned, disassembled, cleaned, and disinfected all the rooftop units that were up on the roof so that we could then go ahead and make sure that they were ready for operations for the year. So some of the site improvements that we did was we re-asphalted the Barron's building, which is the whole asphalt around the elementary school. It's about 77,000 square feet. We completed it in July, excuse me. And then in the middle school, we completed the project, which was the classroom modifications project, which reconfigured the rooms 105, 109. And then where the incident took place, we renamed it over to 162 and completed that in August. Part of a grant that we got from Douglas County Douglas County Office of Commissioners was we got a grant for about $56,000 to go ahead and make necessary security improvements to the site. One of those was the Raptor technology badging system that we have. And it was great because we got a chance to upgrade it to new COVID standards where the receptionists don't have to handle driver's license from individuals. And so it's been working out well as far as being able to have individuals come up and do their own badging once it gets passed through the system. The other thing that we did was we installed a system that Douglas County granted us for, which was the Guardian Indoor Shooter Detection System from Johnson Controls. It's the 4th installation in the state of Colorado, and it's an advanced system as far as being able to give you pinpoint information about where selected instances might be going on in your facility. And we've linked up Douglas County Sheriff's Department with that so that they also get immediate reports. We implemented the Pick My Kid electronic dismissal process platform. We did that in the fall. And then also one of the things that I've been working with was Douglas County School District was to coordinate the installation of a protective ballistic film on all the first floor windows in STEM school. So all of the windows in STEM school now are protected as far as from the potential of a threat. Next year, what we look to do, or hopefully the end of this year right now, is we're looking to put in direct digital controls for all of the HVAC units that are on the roof. Currently working with a mechanical contractor to come up and do the necessary repairs for these rooftop units to make sure that direct digital controls will go smoothly. We hope to also upgrade the site to card access into the DDC electronic system. And again, I'm working with the Douglas County School District on projects that they have put into their bond for funding for us. And they're going to replace some 5 units on the roof as far as HVAC, hopefully this summer, they claim. And then also replace the fire alarm control panel, which is original to the building they'll be doing this summer. The electrical feed they'll do over 2022. And then Obviously, we have a new building and been walking the architect and mechanical engineers to see what we need to do in order to fit up a P-TECH building on the south side of 8920 South Barons Boulevard. And so those are the projects that we're hoping to get put in place for next year.
Thank you so much, Robert. That was very informative. We're going to hand it over now to Sarah Phelps so she can speak a little bit about enrichment.
Hi, so my name is Sarah Phelps and I'm the Enrichment Coordinator for STEM School. Just as with all the other pieces of STEM, this calendar year has certainly been a journey for our enrichment programs. In the spring, many of our programs were canceled or transitioned to virtual meetings to adapt to the pandemic. And in the summer, usually we host on-site programs, but we were able to offer one virtual camp for our elementary, Camp Invention. We've partnered with Camp Invention for several years now. And this school year, with the exception of middle school cross country, our after school programs have not been able to meet in person, and those that can have transitioned to meeting virtually. So some of the highlights this year, we are so proud of our middle school and high school best robotics teams who, after meeting virtually all season, competed last month at a virtual regional competition. Our high school team won the first place best award. Our high school and middle school teams took first and second place in the robot competition game award, and both teams won many other special awards. Our TSA program, we actually are one of the only states that was able to hold a state conference last spring because our state conference was the end of February, and as we know, a few weeks later in March is when everything started shutting down. So we're fortunate that we were able to have a TSA conference last spring, and our program has been meeting virtually every week on Zoom this fall. They're preparing for the first virtual state competition to be held in early March. Our first robotics team, Team Impulse, doubled their team size last year and unfortunately didn't get to compete in their competition because that was in March, but has been meeting weekly since March on Zoom. And they're preparing for their competition season that will start up in January. Despite being limited to only virtual meetings, both our DECA and FBLA programs have seen an increase in membership this year, which is awesome. And our STEM Med Club has been visited by guest speakers on Zoom. They're finding ways to do hands-on experiments together apart. This week, for example, they'll do a starfish dissection from home over Zoom together. Our new theater teacher is working with students to put on a live virtual show next semester. We continue to offer some online enrichment options for elementary families as well if they're interested, like Spanish and dance and drumming. So those are just kind of some of the highlights. I'm really proud of the way that our club advisors and mentors and students have kind of found ways to engage in this unique and challenging year. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. We will now hand it over to Ms. Kelly Reyna. She is standing in for Erin Gomez, who is the chair of our SAC committee.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. This will be my third year presenting for State of STEM, so hopefully I can get through this fairly quickly. So what is the School Accountability Committee? And it's basically parents, teachers, and the community. It's everyone that is a stakeholder at STEM. It's an advisory committee to a director of the school. And in Colorado, it's a statutory requirement for every school to have a school accountability committee or the SAC. The purpose of the SAC is to inform, encourage, and provide opportunities for parent and community members to be involved in the planning of the school's instructional program and quality improvement processes. Educating our children is a partnership between families and educators, and more now than ever, obviously, with COVID and Zooming and teaching at home. The STEM SAC is a great forum for parents to be involved in their children's school. The SAC welcomes all parents and community members to attend all of our meetings to learn more about the business of educating our students. So the SAC membership, this is the basic requirements, statutory requirements from the state. STEM is unique in the way that because we're a K through 12 school, we actually have some additional members that we felt were necessary to help represent our school in its entirety, so K through 12. So we have the director or a director designee. We have 2 teacher representatives. So we have one from the elementary, and then we have one from the secondary school as well. And then we have 3 parent officers, a parent PTO, a community member, and then because of our broad school, we also felt the need to address more parent representation. So we actually have 3 additional parent representatives at this time. So we have quite a big member team that we haven't, sorry, that we have in place at the moment. So we can go on to the next one, thanks. So what does the STAC do? So the STAC discusses results of state testing, something that Dr. Johnson presents every September, the school performance framework. We provide input regarding school budget, the unified improvement plan, and then any kind of staffing needs or concerns of that matter. We also do a parent survey. So we distribute it, collect it, and data analysis, and then we collaborate with the PTO and the board of directors. The SAC reports to the DAC, which is the District Accountability Committee, and the DAC meets with the Douglas County School Board for educating regarding spending district money, charter applications and renewals, and school improvement plans. The SAC typically meets the 3rd Wednesday of the month from 6 to 8. Currently, we're doing all of our meetings via Zoom. You can find our Zoom link on the all school calendar, and we are located on the About tab in the STEM website. And the agenda is typically posted to the site prior to the meeting. So our next meeting is actually tomorrow at 6 o'clock from 6 to 8. So you can get the Zoom link again on the calendar, and hopefully you can come by. It's a nice open forum for parents also, just to come and speak up also at the meetings. So thanks.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I really appreciate you stepping in for Erin and kind of giving this presentation.
Sure, thanks.
And thank you for your service all these years.
Thanks.
So now I'll hand it over to Elisa Bautista. She is our PTO co-president.
Hi, thank you, Nicole. I'm Elisa Bautista, the co-PTO president.
Oh, hold on one second. I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second. Okay, I believe she should be joining back in. I am not sure where she went. Okay.
Sorry.
There she is.
Sorry about that. That's the second time I got kicked out. I'm not sure what's going on. Like I said, I'm Elisa. If you didn't hear me, I'm the co-PTO president, and it's my 2nd year in this position. So just what is a parent-teacher organization? The STEM PTO, a chapter of the Foundation for Douglas County Schools. It is a parent-teacher organization that uses its resources, materials, funds, and services to support our school, STEM School Highlands Ranch. Our mission ensures PTO works in partnership with STEM School Highlands Ranch to foster a strong sense of community, provide enhancement activities for students, faculty, staff, and families, and help increase the educational, social, and emotional experience for the members and their families. These are currently the board positions that we have filled. So on to the next slide here. What does the PTO do? It's a little bit more than just bake sales. Our purpose is organized for the purpose of enhancing the quality of students' education, school and community through development of resources and participation of parents, school staff, and community. The objectives of our board are the STEM PTO Executives Board's goals for fundraising is to organize and support fundraising and enhance activities that enhance the quality of STEM School Highlands Ranch, its students' education and environment, and the community. To promote effective communication between parents, guardians, school staff, and the community, to assist the administrative activities of the school and support its policies and goals, to organize and support fundraising and enhancement activities, to serve as an advisory capacity to the STEM School Board of Directors or at the request of other groups. And membership, I feel like this is one of the most important parts of PTO. Any parent or guardian with a student enrolled or teacher, faculty, staff employed at STEM School Highlands Ranch shall automatically be granted membership into the STEM PTO. No membership fee shall be collected. We do have some open positions. Currently, our vice presidents shall coordinate fundraising and events. And we do typically like to have representation from the elementary school, the middle school, and also the high school. As part of the PTO, we try to be as equitable to all three schools as we can. And the best way that we can achieve that goal is by having representation from all three of our schools. Some of the events that we do, which sadly this year we didn't have some of our best events, Blast Off, Skate City, our Sweetheart Dances, STEM Fest. Hopefully by the end of the year, we can get back to that. Pirates Cove, and then we also do a collaborative effort for After Prom. So hopefully we will get back to those events that we've missed the last 2 years, sadly. Some of the fundraising that we do, we've done a fun run the last 2 years. We do some restaurant nights. Last year was our first STEM Gala. We are currently in STEM Gives, and just a little plug here, today was Colorado Gives Day, so it is our biggest fundraiser of the year. And we are going to go through the end of December for STEM Gives this year. We also do box tops, we do the moolah caps, and then we do King Supers, just some other fundraising fun things that we do. We are also looking for a co-treasurer to oversee the funds of the organization with accordance to the foundation procedures. And we're looking for a new communication person to oversee the STEM PTO communications and marketing. So if anyone is interested, I really encourage you to reach out to either myself or any board member. You can email us at pto@stemk12.org. And our next PTO meeting is this Thursday. It will be virtual via Zoom, and I hope to see you there.
Thank you so much, Elisa. And thank you so much to everybody who presented this evening. Your leadership team is still on as panelists, and we are here to answer any questions that you may have, but this is the end of our presentation. We hope that you enjoyed all of the highlights that we were able to share, and some of the things to look forward to for the remainder of the school year. If you do have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen here so that we can come back to seeing everybody's beautiful faces. Please feel free. You can either type that into the chat box, you can raise your hand and we can promote you to speak, or you can use the Q&A function. So we still have a couple more minutes left before we were scheduled to end at 7:30. So want to just provide that opportunity for any of our community if they would like to share some feedback, ask any questions, send us some well wishes. We're here for you. So it looks like there is a question in the chat box. When will we know if we will be in person on January 5th? So right now, our goal is that we will be in person on January 5th. What that looks like and what grades and all of that, we're hoping to have all of that kind of finalized and worked through next week, barring any large changes that would include maybe something from the governor's office making some kind of large call. We are working towards being in person starting on January 5th. So just keep an eye out on your emails. And we're hoping to potentially host maybe an informational session sometime next week. So as soon as we have that finalized, we will share that out with our community. Thank you. That was a great question. Oh, looks like there's a couple more in there. Hold on 1 second. So there's a question wondering if we can schedule a Zoom celebration regarding Gitanjali and have her talk to the high school student body about her incredibly unique experience. I think that that is a great idea. If, as you can imagine, she has been inundated with requests. And so we did find out earlier today, her schedule has booked up all the way until May, if you can imagine that. So it doesn't mean that we couldn't ask that, but it would definitely have to be something that we plan and set aside that dedicated time so that it is meaningful for both her and for our students and for our community to take part in that. So I would recommend that you shoot Mr. Dan Hoffman an email so that way he can kind of take the lead on maybe preparing something around that for our high school students, because that is a great idea. And there's a question in the chat box from Terry Irish. Is that for all students? If you could just clarify the rest of your question, just so that I know how to answer that, that would be great. And I really truly appreciate the thanks from Kelly Reyna. I know the leadership team does as well. Oh, okay. So return to full-time or in-person. So we're speaking about students. As of right now, the plan would be to return to what our schedule was like prior to Thanksgiving break, with potentially some slight modifications to that. One of them could potentially be a maybe slow kind of progressive rollout in our elementary school back to 4-day in-person learning, but that's something that we're still discussing with our teachers and amongst our admin staff. So we will provide additional information on that in the next week. We do know that sometimes DCSD starts to put out some things as how they're planning to do certain things. So just keep in mind, while we in most cases do follow what DCSD does, sometimes we do modifications to it that best fits the needs of our students and our community. So that's definitely something that we are taking under consideration as to what that will look like for us in January. The board did give the administration a directive right before Thanksgiving that they would like to have us return back to in-person learning in January. And so that's what we're working toward. When is the 21-22 calendar being released? We are just waiting on final word and approval from the Douglas County School District that they have signed off on it. And as soon as we have that, we will share that with our community. And I kind of just took the lead on all those questions. So if any of the other admin would like to jump in on any of those, feel free. I'm just on a roll right now.
Just too good, Nicole.
Well, we have about 3 minutes left in our State of STEM. So if you have any other questions, feel free to type those into the chat box so we can go ahead and get those answered. You can also raise your hand and we can go ahead and promote you to speak if you'd like to say something to the group. We'd love to hear from you.
I want to give a big shout out to Maya and Sean. Thank you for joining us and taking the time to speak so eloquently on behalf of all of our students. So you both are very awesome.
Okay, well, I don't see any other questions popping up. So I am going to go ahead and give everybody 2 minutes of their evening back that they had scheduled with us. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining us for our first virtual State of STEM. Hopefully you came away with some great takeaways on what we've done so far and what to expect for the remainder of this school year. We're really excited just to be educating students every single day. And so thank you so, so much. We hope everyone has a great evening.